All right, let's dive into a pretty big security upgrade coming in Windows Server 2025. Microsoft is flipping a switch on a really powerful feature, and it's going to be on by default. This could seriously change the game for network security. So, we're going to break down what Defender Credential Guard is and why this is such a big deal. So, picture this. An attacker gets admin rights on one of your servers. I mean, usually that's it, right? Game over. They've basically got the keys to the kingdom. But what if you could let them through the front door, but keep the crown jewels, all your critical domain credentials, tucked away in a vault they can't even see? Well, that's the whole idea behind Credential Guard.
You know, for any attacker who's gotten inside a network, getting administrator rights on even one machine, that is the golden ticket. It's that moment where they can stop sneaking around and start acting like they own the place. But what do they do next?
Well, they're not just going to hang out on that one server. Their real goal is to move laterally, hop from machine to machine, digging for more valuable targets. And the number one way they do that is by stealing the credentials of other people who've logged into that first server they compromised.
A classic, and I mean classic, example of this is the pass the hash attack. Once an attacker has admin, they can just take a peek into the system's memory, specifically into a process called lssass.exe, and just yank out the credential hashes for anybody who's logged in. They don't even need your password in plain text. They can use that hash, which is kind of like a scrambled one-way version of your password, to impersonate you and start jumping all over the network. Yeah, this whole credential theft thing has been a massive headache for network defenders for, well, forever. And that is exactly why Microsoft built Defender Credential Guard. It's designed specifically to snap that attack chain in half. So what is it exactly? Well, Credential Guard is a security feature that uses virtualization to build a super secure, isolated little bubble in memory. It takes your sensitive stuff, like those NTLM hashes and Kerberos tickets, which are basically digital hall passes for your network, and shugs them into this protected zone. This makes them totally inaccessible, even if an attacker gets full admin rights on the machine. The best way to think about it is like a digital vault. Before, your credentials were in a safe, sure, but that safe was in the main office. If a thief got into the office and had the right tools, they could probably crack it. Now, those credentials are in a completely separate, hyper-secure vault that not even the main OS can get into.
Right? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If the bad guy owns the operating system, how can anything really be safe? Well, the trick is changing where the secrets are kept. So, check this out. Before Credential Guard, this process, lssass.exe, it handled all the secrets right there in the main OS, which made it a huge target. But after, the secrets get moved to this new isolated process called lsaiso.exe. That's LSA isolated. And this thing runs in its own little virtualized sandbox that the main OS kernel, and therefore the attacker, literally can't touch. Now, this kind of powerful protection does need a little help from the hardware. It relies on modern features like Secure Boot to make sure nothing nasty loads up at startup, and it needs virtualization support built right into the CPU. The good news is, this stuff is pretty standard on most servers you'd buy today. For years, Credential Guard has been this awesome feature that, you had to know about and then go and turn on yourself. But the real headline here, the thing that changes everything, is what's happening in Windows Server 2025. That's it. It is on by default, no more hunting through group policy, no more messing with registry keys. You do a fresh install of Windows Server 2025 and boom, you get this incredible protection right out of the box. That is a massive step forward for server security. Okay, but there are a couple of really important footnotes here. First, this on by default thing, it's specifically for servers that are joined to an Active Directory domain. Makes sense, right? Those are the machines that are most at risk for these lateral movement attacks. And the second key exception is that it is not enabled by default on your domain controllers. The thinking here is that DCs are already working really hard, and the extra performance hit from virtualization-based security could slow down their main job, which is authenticating everyone. So, what does this new default really mean for us, the people who are actually managing these servers day in and day out? Let's talk about the practical side of this. One of the first things you might bump into involves remote desktop. Because Credential Guard is built to stop credentials from being passed around, it can mess with things like saved credentials or single sign-on for RDP sessions. You might just find your users have to type in their passwords more often. It's a tiny price for a whole lot of security, but it's definitely something to be aware of. Now, here's a really subtle but super important detail. While Credential Guard itself is on by default, something called the UEFI lock is not. And this has a huge implication. It means you can still turn Credential Guard off remotely.
By leaving that lock off, Microsoft is basically giving admins an out. If you have some old legacy application or a weird scenario that just does not work with Credential Guard, you can still disable it with the tools you already know, like Group Policy. It's a trade-off, really, between maximum security and real-world practical management. And that brings us right back to the whole point of this. It's about stopping that lateral movement. By locking down Kerberos tickets and NTLM hashes, you're taking away the attacker's main tool for hopping across your network. You're effectively trapping them on that first machine they broke into.
So, Windows Server 2025 is making a really bold move here, turning on one of its best security features by default. But by leaving the door unlocked for admins to turn it back off, it does raise a pretty interesting question. Is this the perfect balance between security and flexibility? Or is it just giving companies an easy excuse to not fix their old, incompatible applications? That's a trade-off every single admin is going to have to think about.